All right.
Hey, we're live. Hopefully, everybody gets the notification on their phone that we are indeed live. My YouTube hasn't updated yet, though. Has yours? Oh, there we go. Oh, you know what I probably should do, which I haven't done in a few weeks? And thank you, anybody who's joining us right off the bat. Good to see you on this fine Sunday. Was it December 11th, 2016? We're getting super close to Christmas, which means we're getting super close to the end of the regular season. The NFL regular season. I'm just going to take a second to go ahead and put the live stream on our homepage. Which it's been a while since I've done that, but I feel like it helps. I don't know. Embed. How you doing today, Kev?
Not bad. Not bad.
You excited for playoff time?
Yep.
I don't feel the excitement.
Well, I mean, it's a big day.
A big win for you guys last week against Oakland. That was huge. Or this week, I'm sorry, not last week. This week, this Thursday.
Yeah, no, I couldn't believe it. It was one hell of a game, that's for sure. I didn't. I don't know. It's funny too, like seeing so many Raider fans are so salty, right? This week.
You guys have their number, man. I mean, they play well against everybody but you. They have 3 losses and 2 of them to the Chiefs.
Yeah, now Kansas City just holds their ticket to the first round bye and a home field, first round bye in a home game in their hands.
You got to feel pretty good if you come across a circumstance where you end up facing the Raiders in the playoffs.
Well, I just want that home field.
Yeah.
That for Kansas City. I mean, even if we don't get the number 1 seed, I'd still be. To get to that first game at home would be huge. So obviously, and then they would go to, at the very least, they would go to New England for the AFC Championship game. So,
right. Oof, New England. They haven't been that dominant this year. I feel like though. How about Bennett?
Well, yeah. I mean, and how about I think. Without I guess we're getting way off track here, but the biggest story of the day is clearly what to do with Julio Jones.
He hasn't practiced all week, right?
He got a limited practice in on Friday.
That sucks. Oh gosh, I'm just seeing the Dolphins inactives too. We're in trouble. Cardinals are just going to run all over us. No Kiko, no Jelani Jenkins, no Mario Williams. Yes. Maybe no Julio, which is on a more fantasy-related terms is brutal.
It feels like every year he does this. Like at this time of the year, fantasy playoffs start, and then all of a sudden Julio Jones is out or hurt, and he's a decoy.
I haven't really been paying that close attention. That hurts badly. I don't really have anybody else to put in for him.
I would rather him be out than play, just because then you feel like you're obligated to play him.
Yeah,
and then he turns out to be a decoy.
I'm just happy that in this particular league that I have him in, my playoffs didn't start this week. They start next week because I had Michael Crabtree, who laid an egg with a whopping 4 points for me. And now Julio may not play. So I may have to plug in Tevin Coleman or Corey Coleman.
Tevin Coleman for sure.
Yeah.
Especially with Mohamed Sanu out.
Well, I have Sammy Watkins in there already, which I don't feel great about. So matchup's going to be interesting. Actually, let's put Julio in the flex here, so I do have the flexibility. Get it?
I own him in my keeper league, and I just scooped up Robbie Anderson as the they both play at 3 just in case, see what happens, because the tough part is I have Allen Robinson on the bench, so I could plug him in over Julio Jones, but I just hate that matchup.
Right. Well, I have Tevin Coleman on the same team, right? So I mean, if Julio doesn't play, I just swap in Tevin. Ends up working out for me.
I have Jeremy Hill in the flex, so I mean, it has to be a wide receiver, and it's either Allen Robinson or Robbie Anderson. But Robbie Anderson, seems to be Bryce Petty's favorite target. So,
all right then.
I mean, playing against San Francisco, I don't know.
Maybe they have a chance at least, right? There's that upside. Hey Ryan, how you doing, man?
Fellas.
How are you on this fine Sunday morning?
This is all good stuff. Don't let my appearance interrupt. I'm trying to figure out what to do with Julio Jones.
As are we.
Man, I'm doing well this Sunday. The Julio Jones news is just absolutely ridiculous. It is like this every year, and I tell myself, to prepare for that every year. So this year I went heavy wide receiver. The only problem is on the team that I can replace Julio Jones with, it's probably going to have to be Allen Robinson or Larry Fitzgerald. So that is fun. I mean, I guess I'll have to play Fitz right now. I don't really love it because I just think Johnson just runs away with the game. I can't play Allen Robinson, right?
It depends on what you think. I mean, he's going up against Xavier Rhodes. Xavier Rhodes did let up four receptions, 84 yards, and a touchdown to Des Bryant the week before. But I don't know. Blake Bortles, Dak Prescott, kind of, whatever.
Oh, man. The video is messed up. Can't see you, but can hear you, Crystal Curry. Huh. Sorry, I'm talking to myself.
Coming on recently. Oh, no, you're good.
Have you figured out a way to get DJ and Le'Veon Bell into one lineup yet? Have you figured that out on DraftKings?
Yeah. It's play Trevor Siemian.
Yeah.
Play Trevor Siemian and Emmanuel Sanders. That's only like $11,000.
I created one lineup that I had both of them in there, and I actually didn't feel terrible about myself after I did it.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. Is it's really doable. I think people are doing it a lot with Kaepernick. I thought about doing it with Bortles and Allen Robinson because that's only 10,000. Nobody's gonna play them.
Allen Robinson could be a championship or a GPP winner this week if he because nobody's going to be on Allen Robinson.
Absolutely
and a 5K.
Not. But yeah, I'm just not convinced, man. I really think this might be like a trap game for the Vikings. I think the Jags kind of play up in this game. Our offense is so putrid, the Vikings. And if the Jags can, get a couple turnovers, I get it. They haven't been great too, but here, nothing to lose.
Haven't the Vikings lost 5 of their last 6 though? 6 of their last 7, something like that? Is it still a trap?
Yeah, it has to.
Or is it just Minnesota being Minnesota? Who knows?
Well, I think if Jacksonville hasn't been weren't so bad recently, that people wouldn't be buying into it. But yeah, you're right, Anthony. They've lost 6 out of their last 7. The Vikings have. last two they lost were by 2 points and 3 points. So take that for what it's worth. But yeah, that's just an ugly game all around. What a putrid game.
Just in time for the fantasy playoffs. Is there an injury roundup? Do we have the drive updated with?
Yes.
Okay. I was just looking for it, and I don't know what's going on here. Very unprepared this morning. I apologize, but thank you so much for joining us. This is the Fantasy Authority Game Day show, in case you were wondering. Most of you who are here probably already know that, though. There has been somebody in the chat who said that our video is messed up, but they can hear us crystal clear. So we apologize to anybody who is experiencing video issues. Hopefully you can still hear us quite clearly and quite well. That's all you really need to get the advice, right? As usual, if you have questions, just put them there in the YouTube chat or use hashtag AskTFA on Twitter. We'll be monitoring that all morning, so we'll be keeping an eye out for your questions. Of course, it is playoff week for most of the fantasy world. Last week of the season for many more, and if you're in a 17-week league that doesn't start their playoffs till week 16, well, then you have 2 weeks left, so you have some time to recover, I guess, if you've been on a losing streak. Why does your team play or your league set up that way? I don't know. To get to injuries, I have to get to the show notes. That's the wrong show notes. Bear with me. I am a hot mess this morning. All right, injury roundup. Robert Griffin III will return, and he will start for the last 4 weeks. Well, that's a little premature right there. If he lasts 4 weeks, he will start all of them. Trevor Siemian is starting again for the Broncos this week, so I guess you can return to starting your Broncos receivers as you normally would. That's the big quarterback news. Anything to say there, guys? What are you expecting from RG3? Coming back, facing Cincinnati, which isn't a terrible matchup for him. I could see the Browns winning this game.
Oh man, Anthony, you're on my same wavelength, I think. See the win in this game too. I don't know what to expect, man. I mean, he's been gone with the injury year. Eddie team has been able to get after quarterbacks, so I mean, yeah. Like I like it from a narrative standpoint, just because I just don't see the Browns going 0-16. I just can't fathom a Hugh Jackson team doing that. But from the same standpoint, it's like if they're getting pressure on him, day for Robert Griffin, and we know he doesn't do well under pressure, and I doubt we see him as mobile as we did earlier on in the season and pre. Like the offensive line's going to have to play probably their best game of the year. Close.
Oh, indeed. They're going to have to play all around their best game of the year, I think. Even though the Bengals are, 4-7-1, something along those lines, they're still a much better team, I think, than the Browns are. So if the Browns are going to win it, they're going to have to play well in all three phases. That almost seems like, well, no shit, Sherlock. Obviously, they're going to have to play well if they want to win a game. But with Robert Griffin III back, there tends to be more turnovers than you'd like to see. How you feeling about this one, Kev? You're awfully quiet over there about these Brownies-Bengals matchup.
I mean, I think for every team, I think you have to have there's probably a little bit more pressure on the opposing team, because you don't want to be the team that loses to the Browns, right? Like, you don't want to be that team that has to lose to them. So, but no, I don't think there's a realistic shot for the Bengals to lose to them. I don't think any team's going to lose to them. I mean, I think that team's so bad, but Robert Griffin III coming back, I think elevates Corey Coleman for sure. Spent all of preseason with him, and I think they have some sort of chemistry. Although he's been gone, since week 1. But I think Terrell Pryor. I think you feel fine about them. The Bengals as their secondary is horrible. They allow points to everybody. That's one reason why they are where they are right now, and I think that you start both of them with confidence. I wouldn't mess with Gary Barnidge with Robert Griffin III. And I honestly don't think you feel great about like a Duke Johnson, but either, because RG3, I don't think he's going to be doing a lot of dump offs. I think you're going to see him moving around the pocket, and really it's going to depend on how long he can stay healthy.
Browns Bengals. That's what we decided to start off with. I apologize to the listeners for that. And we also talked about Minnesota Jacksonville. We're starting it off on a high note here.
No, we get the 2 worst games out of the way, so it's only fantasy goodness from here on out.
That's true. We did talk a little Chiefs and Raiders before you kind of hopped on there, and while you were hopping on, Ryan, that was an interesting game for sure. Chiefs took a hold of the division. Raiders fall to 10-3. Chiefs are also 10-3, but obviously the head-to-head Chiefs are 2-0 versus the Raiders, so they are in the lead for the division. Still 3 games left to go. We'll see how that plays out. Should be fun. Broncos still in the mix as well. They play the Titans today, and they get their quarterback back, which isn't a huge upgrade over Paxton Lynch, but he's at least more consistent. Any chance the Broncos could actually lose that game today? Broncos at Titans.
I don't see it happening. I think that Mariota has finally come back to earth off of his high horse. Like, I just try and get DeMarco Murray involved, which is the smartest route to take in this matchup, because that's where the Broncos are most vulnerable. But the defense is good, man. Even with them missing Brandon Marshall this week, I think that they'll be able to get pressure and to force turnovers. And Simeon is better than Paxton Lynch, like by tenfold. That's for sure. So this Titans defense is going to be able to be attacked by the air, and I like Simeon to put up some points in this game and put on pressure on Mariota to throw, which is where we've seen him kind of put up those fantasy numbers, is coming back in garbage time. But that's where the Broncos are at their best, defending the pass. So as long as they can keep the ball to DeMarco Murray's hands, I don't think it's a problem for Denver.
Well, I mean, that's how you beat Denver, is on the ground, right? I mean, so like the last 3 weeks, Denver has only allowed they're 27th in the league the last 3 weeks in terms of passing yards per game at just over 200 yards, 200.5. However, they've given up 118.5 rushing yards per game over the last 3 weeks. So if they're gonna keep this game close, which I think they will, I mean, Denver's not a team that's really is built to blow teams out. So I do think this will be a close game. However, on the opposite side of the football, with Trevor Siemian, Tennessee's secondary is such a mess right now that I think he's going to be able to throw on them, which is good news, because the Denver rushing attack has been awful this year. I mean, we're talking about Justin Forsett is going to eat into his workload, which is terrible because Justin Forsett is awful. I mean, they literally could have signed anybody else off the street and been better than him. I mean, that's Gary Kubiak's boy, though, and was with him, in Baltimore. So I guess it makes sense from that standpoint and understands the offense. But, I mean, Justin Forsett is awful. So I think Devontae Booker owners, I mean, I would be starting Devontae Booker because especially now at this time of the year. But if you're desperate and that's all you have, I guess you got to start him up. But I wouldn't feel great about it.
All right. Well, that's the only quarterback news we have for today. We do have some questions in the chat. We'll get to those in a second. I just wanted to run through the injuries real quick. and then we'll talk about the games as we go along. Ryan Matthews is expected to return. Wonder how that'll affect Darren Sproles. We'll get to that. Chris Ivory is out, injured again. Alan Hearns also out for Jacksonville. Julio Jones, we talked a little bit about it. He's a true game-time decision. We'll talk throughout the show about what to do in that situation there. They play the second game in the second games today, 4:25 for me, 3:25 for you guys over there in Central. Jordan Matthews is expected to return for Philadelphia. Dorial Green-Beckham, though, is out. Danny Amendola out. Mohamed Sanu out. Adam Humphries also out. John Brown is expected to play, but he'll be on a snap count for the rest of the season. He's struggling with that sickle cell thing. Jordan Reed is expected to return today. We'll get into that, whether or not you should start him or stick with somebody else. Julius Thomas done for the year, putting an end to the season-long horror that was owning Julius Thomas. I've seen many teams continue to start him all season long as if to say, I'm not giving up. Now you can finally give up with confidence. He's not going to explode this week because he won't be playing. A lot of injuries, a lot of stuff to talk about. So, hey, you can see us now. Awesome. Good stuff there, heavy hitter. There are some questions. Let's get to those. Then we'll get into the topics that I just kind of discussed there in the injuries. He needs help, obviously. We need to pick two between Brandon Marshall, Jamison Crowder, Michael Thomas, Steve Smith Sr., Malcolm Mitchell, and Brandon LaFell. I will paste this into our little chat here so you guys can see it. Kev, I know you're watching the YouTube thing, so you could probably see already. But we have to pick two out of B. Marsh, Crowder, Thomas, Smith, Malcolm Mitchell, and Brandon LaFell.
Well, so do we know that is Michael Thomas for sure playing? Have they announced that yet, or are we still waiting to hear?
Let me look.
Because I think he's the main one out of that list that you monitor. Because I do see that game being pretty high scoring.
Still
I
says
think Michael
game time decision.
Okay. So yeah, you want to keep him definitely on the radar because out of that list, if he's active, you're playing him for sure. And then with Jordan Reed out, one of the guys I always look to is Deshaun Jackson, but we can't ignore or Jordan Reed is playing.
Yes.
Oh. Then that makes me like Crowder a little bit less. A lot less, actually.
I still like him. I don't know what to do with Malcolm Mitchell, I'll be honest. I have no idea. Going against the Ravens on Monday Night Football. Imagine you're down by 13 or something. You're relying on Malcolm Mitchell. You're like, come on, Malcolm. Come on, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, that would be great. The problem is that Jimmy Smith is probably going to be on him. And they're probably going to use Edelman to, run from the slot, and he'll get Sharice right and everything. So I think he might get overlooked. And a hard time. I mean, LaFell's interesting. LaFell's interesting, man, because, we talk about how they don't have anybody with Gio Bernard and AJ Green out. If you're going for touchdown upside, I kind of like LaFell. He gets a lot of red zone looks. So I mean, that's a pretty safe bet there.
I think if Michael Thomas plays, he's an obvious play, I think, right? I mean, if he's good to go.
He has the highest upside out of anybody on that list.
I would stick with Michael Thomas and Crowder. I know Reed's back, but Crowder he's been awesome. He's been too awesome to sit, I think. If Thomas doesn't play, then maybe Malcolm Mitchell. I don't know. What do you think, Kev?
I think I'm going Brandon Marshall against San Francisco, and then I would go from there. I would probably go with – I would want to go Michael Thomas because that's the most logical choice. But with the injury, it would be a bit risky. But he would be the guy but if he does not play, which is good news, we'll know. Well, I mean, I guess he's the 4 o'clock game, so I guess that's tough. So I guess at the end of the day, I guess you're going to end up having to make a decision between does anybody? Well, I guess you could always pivot. So I guess I would go Michael Thomas and Brandon Marshall. And if something were to happen and Michael Thomas does not play, then you could always pivot to Malcolm Mitchell, and that's what I would do.
Yeah, I always get so turned off by bad quarterbacks, especially even against San Francisco. San Francisco hasn't been bad against shitty quarterbacks this year. But I see your point with Brandon Marshall against the 49ers. 49ers couldn't stop anything at this point. Plus, you do have the situation with Michael Thomas. He's a 425 game, a later game. I like where you're going with that, B. Marsh and Thomas pivot to Mitchell if Thomas doesn't play. All right.
Yep.
I do agree though on the Brandon or the LaFell. I do really like him a lot this week, and I mean I was on him last week, and I was telling people that I thought he was much better play than Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd is sort of that slot possession type receiver, as Brandon LaFell was going to see tons of red zone work, which he did. He could have had a second touchdown, but best game of the year, 5 catches, 95 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, LaFell's one of those sneaky plays, man. That guy, he can have a big game. He's just trying to figure out when the heck that's going to happen.
They're going to have to throw to somebody, and it's against the Browns. So,
yeah, true.
I mean,
very true. All right, how about we move on to Machine is back with us. Hey, Machine, how you doing, man? And he has this weekly question at quarterback, Eli or Wilson. Eli against them Dallas Cowboys. Dallas looking to revenge their one loss of the season, which is week 1 against the Giants. And then you got Russell Wilson going against Green Bay, but it is snowing in Green Bay, or it did snow. I don't know what the forecast is for today, but there was a picture going around on Twitter. That stadium is covered in snow at the moment.
I'm going Russell Wilson.
Wow.
I would lean Russell as well. I don't think Green Bay's secondary is that good.
I think Dallas's defense is overrated. I think we've gotten a little bit too carried away with their defense, and people are talking about them like they're some elite unit. They are not that. They are definitely beatable, and I think Eli is interesting, especially being at home Sunday night game. However, I think you got to go Russell Wilson with a better matchup.
The thing that bothers me about Wilson, I really didn't even like Wilson to begin with, but the fact that the weather conditions are, calling for 3 to 4 inches of snow and then freezing rain during the game, like Russell's best asset in the passing game is being able to find these guys who go deep. And I mean, if Green Bay, on 2 guys here, and that's 3 if you count in Tyler Lockett. I don't really like Lockett either, though. But you shut down Baldwin and you shut down Graham, and he has nobody else to pass to. These are the only guys he's been passing touchdowns to this year. Nobody else has a receiving touchdown on the year. These receivers are awful, and in these weather conditions, we've seen Wilson be really bad in spots before where we wanted to trust him without these conditions. And then you have a guy like Eli, who I agree with Kev. The corners on Dallas are really not that great at all. He's going to be able to attack them with Shepard and Beckham all day, I think. So, if it were up to me, I'd put in Eli no problem, seeing as how he's going to – I think he has a floor of 250 and 2 touchdowns. you're hoping for that out of Russell Wilson in a traditional matchup that really isn't that high scoring to begin with.
Well, I mean, Green Bay's secondary has been awful. I mean, just atrocious this year, and they've been ravaged by injuries. I try not to be a weatherman, but everything that I've seen so far has pointed that the game's going to be fine. That it's expected to be, the weather's supposed to be good. It stopped snowing there. That it really shouldn't be that big of an issue. So I like Doug Baldwin quite a bit this week. I think he's a borderline wide receiver 1. I went back and forth all week with putting Russell Wilson as my number 1 quarterback. And I don't care about the weather. It didn't change anything. I'm still holding him at number 2. I think that's where he deserves to be. And I feel great about Russell Wilson. Tyler Lockett is back. We saw last week when he went 130 some total yards, not including the big return that he had. So I like the way the Seahawks offense is trending, and I think it's only going to get better.
It's the battle of Russell Wilson versus Eli Manning. We seem to have this battle every single week because Machine's always here asking, and we can easily see how his decision is a tough one each and every week. I am a bit nervous about the weather there in Green Bay, and I agree with you, Ryan, that Russell Wilson's floor not nearly as good as Eli's. But I don't know, man. I am not an Eli guy. For whatever reason, I can't trust Eli Manning. Not that I would like to trust Russell Wilson, but in this scenario, I think I would stick with Russell. Going against that Green Bay defense that just can't seem to stop anybody at this point.
Here, wait, I'm just going to read you. This is Kevin Roth, okay? He's a meteorologist. I defer to Kevin Roth on weather stuff because I myself am not a weatherman either. But this is what he tweeted at 10 a.m. Plenty of snow leading up to the game. Obviously, it's coated in snow right now, but there will be light snow and some light freezing drizzle falling during the game. About footing, so he's not playing the kickers to pick up the running backs. That's enough for me to at least have pause if I have a better option. You know, it's like if Russell had been, 2015 Russell Wilson, where we saw him, not slip up at all in these, last couple of games in the season in November and December, I'd be all for that. But like the fact is that this dude has just let down so many people in so many other positions before. And, in a road matchup there with weather conditions versus, or quarterback who I pretty much think you can lock in for 2 touchdowns at home.
All right, well, Machine, you're going to have to decide who had the better argument here. We do have to move on. We are already at the 12:05 hour at this point, so we have less than 1 hour to go until kickoff, and we have so much more to talk about to get everybody prepared for their playoffs. So whoever's argument you liked better, go with that one. Ryan makes a very good point on the weather side and on the Russell Wilson not being 2015 Russell side. Kev also makes a good point on the Packers defense not being that great, and I just don't like Eli. So next question comes from Anthony T here on YouTube. I need 2. He has Jordan Matthews, Jimmy Graham. Is that Tevin or Corey Coleman? If you can just put in the chat which Coleman that is. And Sammy Watkins. It's a half-point PPR league, and he needs 2. Jordan Matthews is returning this week. Jimmy Graham, like we just mentioned, Russell Wilson, Jimmy Graham versus Green Bay there. Either Tevin or Corey Coleman, not quite sure just yet. Hopefully Ant will respond here with which one. And then Sammy Watkins, Slam and Sammy. They're going against Pittsburgh, who that makes me nervous. Pittsburgh's defense has been pretty darn good against the receiver over the past few weeks. I actually do have Sammy Watkins listed. I have Sammy Watkins listed as a dud in my article this week, but I am in fact starting him in a league just because I have to.
Oh, wow.
So this is a tough one. Pick 2. a lot of names. I mean, the only sure name I think in this list is maybe Jimmy Graham.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I just talked about, I don't like Wilson in this matchup. I mean, you have to play Jimmy Graham. You can't bench him.
It's Corey Coleman, by the way.
Okay, so Corey Coleman. Who else was he talking about?
Corey Coleman, Jordan Matthews, Sammy Watkins, Jimmy Graham. He needs 2. It's a half-point PPR.
I would go Jordan Matthews along with Jimmy Graham for me. I think with Corey Coleman, it's like it's one of those things where a new quarterback comes in with the RG3 thing. Like I just really don't know what the offense is going to be like and who he's going to favor. He could lean heavily on Pryor in this matchup, and I just think with like Dorial Green Beckham's in a prime spot. The receivers are banged up. Or I'm sorry, Jordan Matthews is in a prime spot. The receivers are banged up. Dorial Green Beckham's going to be out.
Ryan Matthews is coming back.
Ryan Matthews is coming back, which helps the offense, I think. We move down the field, so that gives more opportunities to Jordan Matthews. Should be another one of those games that's going to be probably sneaky high scoring. I think Wentz will be able to get involved. It's just going to be can they get Jordan Matthews away from Josh Norman? And I think that they can. I think they'll line him up in the slot and just use another guy out there as bait, probably Turner, to get him involved. So I like Jordan Matthews a lot over those guys.
This is a really
Jordan
tough
Matthews
call.
and Jimmy Graham.
Right, this is a really tough call, right? Because there's only one guy who's been consistent this year, and then you have 3 kind of question marks here with Jordan Matthews, Corey Coleman, and Sammy Watkins. Jimmy Graham has been decently consistent. He hasn't been lighting up the scoreboard every single week, but he's been good enough. It's really kind of, which one do you think has the better chance to explode here between Matthews, Coleman, and Watkins? Matthews has not been involved lately. Washington's defense pretty good against the pass. Or Matthews was hurt, but even before the injury, he wasn't performing very well. He's facing Josh Norman. A lot of negative ticks against Matthews. But then with Watkins, he's facing Pittsburgh, who's been surprisingly good against receivers as of late. Thought last week he would really kind of get more involved in the offense with his second week back from the injury. Didn't seem to happen. He's still suffering from a broken bone in the foot, which is a huge red flag for me. Receiver kind of needs his feet a little bit. And then Corey Coleman, who could be the dark horse candidate here for the biggest game, because RG3 is coming back. They have a decent rapport, but you don't know who the favorite's going to be between Pryor and Coleman. You could start Coleman and ends up being Pryor. You could bench Coleman and ends up being Coleman. I think it's a risk either way with one of these 3 receivers. I may myself lead Corey Coleman on this between these options, just because I don't know that they're going to get Matthews involved. They haven't shown that ability since the beginning of the season. Kev, welcome back. We're talking, they need 2 between Jordan Matthews, Jimmy Graham, Corey Coleman, Sammy Watkins. It's a half-point PPR. Ryan says Matthews and Graham. I say Coleman and Graham.
I'd go Jordan Matthews and either Sammy Watkins or Jimmy Graham.
You guys are both on that Jordan Matthews train, man.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's not going to be seeing Josh Norman. I mean, Jordan Matthews plays primarily out of the slot, so and Josh Norman does not travel to the slot, so you don't have to worry about that with Jordan Matthews.
All right, quick analysis there. I can't. I mean, it's the playoffs. You can trust Jordan Matthews in the playoffs? Playoffs?
All of them are risky, though. I mean, Sammy Watkins is extremely risky. Corey Coleman is extremely risky. I mean, he's very boom or buzz. And then even Jimmy Graham is very risky. With the possible weather and everything else, depending on what kind of game flow that turns out to be, that could be a very risky play as well. I guess I'd have to ask, though, who are you starting at tight end as well? Because why not start Jimmy Graham as your tight end, and then who's that guy?
I didn't realize. Sorry, I didn't realize Jordan Matthews has been targeted so much. Between weeks 8 and 11, he had 10 or more targets every single game. That's crazy. When you don't own a guy, you don't tend to pay that close attention to him.
True.
So yeah, Anthony was the one who asked the question. Who do you have at tight end, man? Is there another way that we can reconfigure the roster a little bit? While we're waiting for him to answer that, Machine has another question. Devontae Booker or Doug Martin? Looks like Booker versus the Titans. Dougie Fresh is going against the Saints.
I would play Doug Martin for sure. And I think that says a lot because, I mean, Charles Sims is back. Jaquiz Rogers has been talked up this week, is getting a heavy workload. I mean, I don't know what the hell they're doing in Tampa Bay here, but it's just a favorable game. And what better way for Doug Martin to get going than against the Saints? Defense just can't stop anybody. Devontae Booker's bad. He's so bad.
He's just bad.
I don't get it. I really just don't understand. This guy is getting, how he's allowing Capri Bibbs and Justin Forsett, who this is his third team now in the NFL season, get talked about over him. It's just unacceptable. So I think his time's coming to an end there. I feel much safer with Doug Martin of those two guys.
I honestly do too, and I don't know what's going on in Tampa either. I mean, what was that, the offensive coordinator that came out and called out the running game, saying it wasn't getting enough per carry or something like that? I don't know, man. Doug Martin's gotten it done for you in the past, so I don't know why that would be the first place you look when you're looking to improve the running game. It's true, though. They do have 3 running backs who are very capable. Rodgers looked good earlier this year. Charles Sims looked okay. I mean, he didn't look fantastic in his playing time, so I don't understand why him coming back is such a huge thing, other than the fact that it's going to take carries away from Martin. I don't necessarily think that Sims performed better when given the chance. I don't have the numbers in front of me, though, so don't hold me to that.
Well, yeah, he is a great pass catcher. So, they might look to play him on third downs, maybe, keep Doug Martin a little bit fresh. But the dude, I mean, in the past 4 games, he's had 2 games with over 20 touches and 2 touchdowns in those games. He's getting workload. And, in prior weeks, I've said, let's see it from him. Let's see it from him. Let's see it from him. And he's been putting up okay numbers. And, those were against, teams like Seattle and KC. And now you get to face the Saints. I don't see any problem with starting Doug Martin this week.
Yeah, Machine says he is going Doug Martin. Anthony responded he has Olsen starting at tight end, so that would be the reason he does not have Graham starting at tight end. So Olsen and Graham in there together. Dynamic duo. Machine also asks Landry or Fitzgerald.
Fitzgerald.
Yeah, Fitzgerald for sure.
They're facing each other this week. Definitely Fitzgerald against Miami. They do not have a corner that can cover Larry Fitzgerald.
No, I think he's going to be going up against what? What's his name?
Maxwell.
He's like 5'9". What I was looking at the other day.
Yeah, Maxwell is an extremely frustrating corner because he's such a boomer bust player. It's either he's making the interception and returning it, or he's getting burnt for a 60-yard catch. There seems to be no in between with that guy. And Larry's just going to abuse him. I mean, I don't think Maxwell has the skills. I think Lippett might be out again, so Lippett's pretty raw, but he's a little better at sticking with those big physical receivers than Maxwell is. So,
yeah, he's going to be matched. That's who it is. Bobby McCain. That's who he's going to be matched up with. Bobby McCain plays
Bobby
slot
McCain, actually.
94% of the time. As to Larry Fitzgerald he plays slot 63%. So
I do like Bobby McCain. Is he ready to face Fitzgerald? No, but nobody's ready to face Fitzgerald. It's not even I don't think there's any corner in the league that's prepared to face him. But I do like Bobby McCain. I think in a few years he could be a player we're talking about as really improving. But this week I agree it's Fitzgerald. Landry just not involved enough. Philip Studer is back. Welcome back, Philip. He says Dak or Big Ben. Dak, of course, going against the New York Giants there in that rematch on Sunday Night Football. Big Ben going against the Bills in Buffalo. Both teams on the road, actually. The Cowboys are in the Meadowlands. The Steelers are in Buffalo. Which quarterback do we like better this week, fellas? It's a tough one. Last time we saw Dak versus the Giants was his first ever NFL start, so there's really not much we could take from that.
Definitely Dak for me.
Ryan?
Because of the road splits?
It's some of it. I try not to believe too much into that. It's kind of the narrative every week with Big Ben, whether he's at home or on the road. But I don't know. This game for me, I guess, just feels a little bit more like a low scoring tight game, and so I feel just a little bit better about starting Dak. Where I think it could be far more, we have far more opportunities. Because as of right now, I think I have Big Ben as like a mid-level QB2 in my rankings, and I have Dak, I think, at 9. So obviously QB at 9, and then I have Big Ben at QB 15. So
Machine says he's facing his brother in fantasy round 1 of the playoffs.
Nice.
That's like championship. Then you got to win that. You can't lose that.
That's huge right there. I mean, it doesn't even matter if you win the championship after that. If you beat him, that's it right there. Bragging rights for a year. Oh, man.
Yeah, man. I mean,
I would probably go with
don't
Dak
play
as well,
Ben,
man.
but yeah, I'd lean Dak too.
I mean, he's been so consistent all year. I mean, he's been a consistent source. I mean, Big Ben.
So true.
I don't know if anybody has a higher. I mean, he has such a high ceiling where he could, nothing would surprise if he went out and scored 30 points. But at the same time, it wouldn't surprise you either if he only got you 7 or 8. It's just you just don't know what you're going to get from him. And then being on the road, which I try not to, because that's been like the narrative all week with Big Ben. And I try not to believe too much into that, but I just think Dak's just in a better spot and has a much better floor. So in this situation, I think you just got to go Dak.
Philip responds with, instead of starting Dak, should I pick up Winston and start him?
Yes.
I like that.
Winston's going against the Saints. I like that as well. So yes. Short answer is yes on that. We all agreed on that one too, so that's better. A heavy hitter hearing our conversation about Big Ben says, well, I have Ben starting, but I also have Marcus Mariota, so which one would you start?
Big Ben.
Yeah, Mariota versus Denver is not a good matchup.
I'd start Ben too.
Big Ben, sir. So we do have some questions coming in on Twitter, fellas. This one comes from Eli. He actually has 2 questions. We'll start off with the tight end question first. Ladarius Green or Jordan Reed? Green versus Buffalo, Reed versus Philadelphia.
Ooh,
I'm having a real hard time this week with tight ends. Let me tell you, I have no idea what to do myself. So I'm gonna push this one on you guys to see what you think. Jordan Reed or Ladarius Green? Jordan Reed coming back from what? Concussion?
I think it's very close, but I would go Ladarius Green.
1 for Green? Do we have 2 for Green?
Oh my God.
Going once, going twice.
No, I got to go Jordan Reed, I think.
Philadelphia very good against the tight end. Top 5.
It's Jordan Reed, though. I mean, like, we can't forget how good this guy is.
Well, I'm not forgetting anything. I know, like, I want to say Jordan Reed. And I think if you're looking to swing for the fences, it's Jordan Reed for sure. We had 1 week of Ladarius Green where he looked great, but other than that, we haven't seen much from him. We haven't seen anything. He's been injured and things like that. But Jordan Reed with that AC separation makes me a little nervous. Does he re-injure himself and, you lose him for the entire game? So for me, I feel like Ladarius Green's a little bit safer and has a little safer floor than what Jordan Reed has. But like I said, Jordan Reed could easily be, score the most fantasy points of any tight end this week. And, obviously that because he's top 2 or 3 best tight end in the league. So
yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, Philadelphia, we haven't really talked about this, but Philadelphia, their defense is awful. Like a lot of their stats are really, really padded from the beginning of the season. So when you look at them and you see all this and you're like, oh, Philadelphia has a good defense. They don't. Philadelphia's defense is absolutely horrendous. Like I was looking at it. So like the last 2 weeks in a row, they've given up over 300-yard passer and double-digit touchdowns. Tight ends haven't really done much. But then if you look at the guys Jared Cook, to only 2 targets. Tyler Eifert last week, only 2 targets. So it's not like you can say, oh, well, they shut them down. They're shutting down tight ends. I mean, if they're just not getting the targets, it's kind of hard to make that call. But you look at the wide receivers. The wide receivers have went off against them. Brandon LaFell, 7 targets, 5 catches, 95 yards and a touchdown. Tyler Boyd was okay, 4 catches and 6 targets, 66 yards. And then the week before when they played Green Bay at home, Jordy Nelson received 12 targets, 8 catches, 91 yards. And then, Devontae Adams, 6 targets, 5 receptions, 113 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I mean, they're good. I wouldn't be afraid of it. And to be honest, like I said, I mean, Jordan Reed is like a wide receiver. So, and he's the best one they got. Like I said, if you're looking for the ceiling, go Jordan Reed. If you're looking for the floor, I think it could actually be Ladarius Green.
Heavy Hitter says that's a good problem to have. I agree.
Oh, for sure.
I agree. Just the other part of the question here from Eli before we get to Machine has a few more questions for us. He needs you to pick 2 guys at the running back position. Jay Ajayi, Tevin Coleman, Kenneth Dixon, Tim Hightower, and Charles.
I heard Kenneth Dixon. I like him.
Jay Ajayi, Tevin Coleman.
Kenneth Dixon.
And what was the other one?
Ajayi, Coleman, Dixon, Hightower, Sims.
Jeez.
Well, I think immediately knock off. You're not starting Sims. We have no idea what to expect, what his role is going to be, how involved he's going to be. I would not start him this week.
Sure. You starting Hightower at all in any situation against the Bucks?
I wouldn't. Tampa Bay's defense has been very underrated the last, I don't know, really going back to the last 5 or 6 weeks. They have been excellent. So
you got to drop one more. You have Ajayi, Coleman, and Dixon left.
That's the tough part. I love Coleman. I'm starting Coleman. So my decision is really more between Jay Ajayi and Kenneth Dixon. But I don't think it's really a question. I think you start Jay Ajayi. But I continue to wait for the big breakout game of Kenneth Dixon. I just don't think it's going to happen against New England in New England when I think New England only gives up like 3.6 yards per carry. So it's just not probably going to be this week. But I continue to wait for Kenneth Dixon because I think he's going to have a big week. And I think he could actually be the guy down the stretch the last 4 weeks of the year that we kind of talk about, like similar to what Tim Hightower was last year, who just broke out and won people championships.
Yeah, week 17 he'll break out.
Exactly. Yeah, I'd lean Dixon and Coleman. Did he say
it was a season standard or PPR?
He does not say, unfortunately. This is on the Ask TFA hashtag. I would probably stick with Ajayi and Coleman myself. I know Ajayi hasn't been great, but he is getting the workload. Dixon still has – Terrence West scored twice last week, so he still has that to deal with.
Sure.
Oh, by the way,
there's
Theo Riddick is out this week.
I forgot to mention that. I saw it earlier. I did forget to mention Theo Riddick is out, which is a huge blow for those of you in PPR leagues. Yeah, Heavy Hitter says Ajayi definitely flip a coin with Hightower and Coleman. We went with Coleman there. Lots of questions coming in on YouTube, so let's get over to those quickly. For Flex, Machine has Tyrell Williams, Sterling Shepard, Jimmy Graham, and TJ Yeldon. He needs one. Taylor Gabriel is also a free agent. He could pick him up. So you're looking at Tyrell Williams, Sterling Shepard, Jimmy Graham, TJ Yeldon, Taylor Gabriel. Are we cutting it and Yeldon out?
And you can only start one?
Yeah, he needs a flex play.
Son of a... I really like
wow.
I really like Gabriel, but it's Tyrell Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tyrell Williams against the Panthers. Yeah. Sign me up. Sign me up. Maybe pick up Gabriel and if you can. Especially if Julio's going to be out. Ortiz comes at us. He says, hey, what's up, guys? I need major help. He needs to start 3. So let me go ahead and put this in the chat there for you guys because there's quite a few names. So the names are Malcolm Mitchell, Demarius Thomas, Golden Tate, Brandon LaFell, Doug Baldwin, Larry Fitzgerald, and Rashard Matthews. I think Fitz is a must-start in there. Is Baldwin also a must-start?
Yes.
So if
I'd rather. I was gonna say I think Tate's a must start with the Riddick news. Like
so
he's gonna see minimum 10 targets today.
Right. So is it Tate, Baldwin, Fitz?
Yeah.
Definitely Tate, Baldwin for sure. And then Fitz. So yeah, those 3. Tate, Baldwin, Fitz.
Yeah. There you go, Ortiz. Start Golden Tate, Doug Baldwin, and Larry Fitzgerald. South Rules. Hey man, how you doing? Welcome back. Mike Gillislee or Terrence West? Gosh.
Ugh. Mike. Let's see. I mean, there's something to be said about the red zone work this guy's getting. For whatever reason, I mean, the LaShawn McCoy situation is just, I've had a hard time figuring it out the past couple of weeks since he's been back from injury. And I just think Dixon's a better talent than West, so I'm not going to start West against the Patriots. So I like Gillislee. If you give me those 2 options.
Those are your 2 options, Terrence West or Mike Gillislee. West last week didn't do much other than 2 touchdowns, but that's what you want, right? Touchdown carry right there. What do you think, Kev?
Yeah, you're...
What is it again?
Gillislee or West?
Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
Yeah, exactly.
I would, what about well, I mean, we haven't really talked about this yet, but what about the Lions situation now that they don't have Theo Riddick? I mean, what do you think about, like a Dwayne Washington?
Oh, he's horrible. He's horrible. We've been through this.
What about Zach Zinner? I mean, somebody's going to get to work
just
as back.
Bad.
I like West better than those guys.
They're gonna suit up these guys at running back. This is what they're gonna do, Kev. They're gonna suit up these guys at running back, and then they're probably gonna just run end arounds to Tate all game because they're gonna run the ball with these guys. They're gonna get 2-3 yards per carry max.
Ryan's signing up for the Golden Tate at running back position there.
He's gonna be all over the field, dude. All over the field against this Bears team. It's gonna be horrible. I don't even want to watch the game.
He says he's number 1 in this league, but his RB2 has been a problem all year. So West or Gillislee? Man. I don't know. I think West has a better chance to score a touchdown, so I'd probably lean West.
Yeah, I mean, he can easily just, fall headfirst into the end zone and score a touchdown. So I guess I'd have to go Terrence West.
Fall head first. Wow.
That's professional analysis from Kevin Steele at Fantasy Wrath 13. You can reach out to him, give him all your troubles. Aukie, I think is how you pronounce it. If I'm wrong, you can tell me. It's okay. Julio, Brandon Marshall, or Kelvin Benjamin? He gets to start one. And then our first Julio question.
I don't know. I mean, more and more you start to read the tea leaves. It looks like Julio Jones isn't going to play. I just saw a report from Adam Schefter saying that they're very pessimistic on him actually being able to play. I just don't think you can feel good in this situation and actually play him. So, but then, like I said, you're in a good spot because you have Brandon Marshall. That's what I would wait on, and I would probably fire up Brandon Marshall.
Yeah, I'd play. I'd go Brandon Marshall too. Those guys. Well, considering that Julio Jones, if Julio Jones is definitely out, I think it's just something that you probably just want to put in Marshall right now, just because. I mean, even if just in case you forget. Because at best we've heard he's only going to – I mean, at best we know he's going to be a decoy from what we know.
Well, if that's what we know, then don't you just pretty much have to tell everybody to sit him and not even think about the other alternative because if you fire him up and then he turns into be a decoy, then, I mean, you just wasted your time. And it feels like that does feel like that's his best case scenario is just being a decoy out there. So I think the smart move is just moving on and not starting him.
That pains me so.
Julio Jones, unbelievable. I can't get over it. It's just dude.
He did it just in time for the fantasy playoffs.
Just in time for the playoffs.
He did it on purpose. I'm telling you. He did it. He's like, I'm going to screw all you fantasy players. Watch this. I'm going to be out first week of the playoffs. Booyah.
I'm with you. He has to be the most frustrating player in fantasy.
Because his opponent in fantasy football this week has him. So he's like, I'll get him. I'm just not going to play. That's how he did it. That's how it happened. You heard it here first.
Well, okay, so I got to go in. Jameis Winston or Matt Stafford?
Famous Jameis versus New Orleans. Who's Stafford playing? The Bears.
At home.
Yeah, Bears at home. Well, Jameis is at home as well.
No, Lions at home.
That's what I meant. Lions at home. I meant Stafford at home when I said it. I said Bears, though, so, it's almost the same thing. I'd probably lean Jameis still.
I'd play Jameis, too.
Close.
It's just one of those, I feel like, because, I could easily see where Stafford blows up and just has a big game, especially at home. So it's especially if they have no running game to speak of, then I think you're going to see a ton of Stafford. And, I mean, Stafford has been a beast all year. So then again, I mean, there is the, Jameis Winston at home against New Orleans. But New Orleans defense has been better than what some people have given them credit for lately, though.
Yeah, they have.
They haven't been this pushover defense that everybody thinks that they've been.
I tell you, I'm starting Detroit's defense, though, in leagues where I have a defense still. Pick those bad boys up. They've been playing great. Lots of questions, guys. Let's get back to it. Pick 2 receivers in a standard league. Mike Evans, Sucky Jarvis Landry, Devontae Adams, or Kenny Britt.
Is that a direct quote there?
That's a direct quote, actually.
Okay.
I wouldn't have called him Sucky myself. He's on my team, man. I like Evans and Britt. What do you guys think?
Evans, Britt, Adams.
Yeah, he has to pick 2. And Landry.
Mike Evans for sure. I mean, that's not even a question. We don't have to talk about that. But
Adams going against Seattle. Britt going against Atlanta. Landry's going against Arizona.
I really want to say Adams, but Britt's been the guy there in LA. They love him. He's been so consistent this year. I mean, Adams has 2, but
Kenny, I like Britt. I like him a lot.
I would go. So Jordy Nelson should see most of Richard Sherman. And then with Earl Thomas out, I think that's also a problem for that Seattle secondary. So I would actually go Devontae Adams. I mean, how can you that's like your brand is built off that this year, Ryan, with your Devontae Adams call like super early in the year. Like, how do you you're just damaging that already going against them? So I would go.
I wrote him up this week. I wrote Adams up this week.
He's a grown man. He can change his mind. He can come over to the Kenny Britt side. Jared Goff, Kenny Britt, they're the future.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even about changing my mind, but it's like knock how consistent Kenny Britt has been, and if I'm concerned about this weather game, like I have to factor that in. I want to like Adams this week, like I really do.
I think he's turning on Adams here. I think we're seeing it right here live on the Game Day show. Ryan Williams is turning his back on Devontae. I'm writing Devontae Adams a tweet right now. I'm letting him know.
Let him know.
I'm letting him know.
I would go Adams. So if it was, I'd go Adams and Mike Evans.
Hell with it. Who's this guy? Go Adams, man. You go Adams, and forget about Kenny Britt.
Kenny
Goff
Britt
is terrible.
Goff is
Rams are terrible.
So,
go with the guy who's catching passes from one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
Now I can't tweet at him. I'm still going to do it, though. Let's see. Yeah, so Devontae Adams, Mike Evans, TN. Ortiz says, even in the snow, I forget what your question was already, Ortiz, because we said Tate, Baldwin, and Fitz. Oh, Baldwin in the snow. Yeah, we still like him. I think. You guys still like Baldwin over Demaryius Thomas, Malcolm Mitchell? Even in the snow? You see what you did, Ortiz? You got to think again.
Dude, I mean, I like Simeon this week. Like, I think Simeon's fine. Is gonna, get the offense better. I don't think they have any type of run game. So Demaryius should get 7-8 targets easily. I like him. I'd play him
over Baldwin.
Probably over Baldwin. Yeah, why not?
No, sir. No, he's starting Doug Baldwin.
Difference of opinion there.
Can we, I get Seattle put up 40 points last week, but that was with Russell Wilson throwing one touchdown. The dude has not thrown multiple touchdowns, but in 3 games this year?
Micah, okay, so first of all, he's going to be going up against Micah Hyde, which Micah Hyde is one of the worst. Their entire secondary is awful. So Micah Hyde has given up what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th. He's given up the 7th. He's given up 0.41 fantasy points per route run, which is 7th worst in the league. And then his teammate Demarius Randall's 8th with the same amount. Their secondary is so bad. Doug Baldwin is going to eat this week. I'm telling you, I'm not worried about the weather. Do not be afraid of it. At the very worst, if even if it's check down and it's short routes, intermediate routes, that's what Doug Baldwin is that guy, and he's going to be soaking up all of that. There is nothing to be afraid of to not go with Doug Baldwin. He is going to eat this week. Don't be afraid of the weather. Just start him up, fire him up. I'm hitching my hashtag brand to Doug Baldwin and the entire Seattle offense.
Oh my God, I can't wait to follow this game later.
I'm not jumping on that brand. That's for sure.
I'm gonna be tweeting at Kev all day because we're gonna know what Demaryius Thomas does before that game starts. And this dude, you're just gonna have this dude just wilting away. He's just going to be all up in your DMs because he's going to see Demaryius Thomas put up at least 15 points. And now he's praying for Baldwin to come. And then, the weather reports are all going to come out in Green Bay. They're going to be like, oh, passing game is just going to be awful this week. It's going to be all Thomas Rawls.
All right, guys, we have so many questions, and you're going on this thing back and forth between Doug Ball and Demaryius Thomas. Pay attention to Twitter today, folks, because it's going to be a riot, I think. Catch at FF_authority for the main account, at FantasyWrath13 for Kev. Ryan is at RyanAlexander_W. Follow them all and pay close attention, because this could be an interesting day on the Twitter sphere. All right, so moving on now, we do have another Demaryius Thomas question. Demaryius Thomas, oh my goodness, how many people? Machine back with another just long-winded here. Demaryius Thomas, TJ Yeldon, Jimmy Graham, Tyrell Williams, Taylor Gabriel. We answered it before as Tyrell Williams. I don't think it changes. What do you think?
Nope, still Tyrell. Tyrell the Gazelle.
Pick 2, and Shepard.
Got to
Tyrell and Demaryius Thomas.
Tyrell and Thomas. That's what we had before, so we're sticking with it. Tyrell and Thomas.
Agreed.
San Diego or Houston defense?
San Diego.
Yeah, I like San Diego as well.
Yeah, Chargers.
San Diego Superchargers. Kirk Cousins versus the Philly D, or Ben Roethlisberger versus the Bills?
That's simple. Kirk Cousins. Kirk. No, not Kurt. Kirk. I'm not sure who this Kirk guy is, but Kirk Cousins.
Oh, Kirk. Kirk Cousins. I read it Kurt, too. Look at that.
Kirk Cousins.
How do you guys feel about Big Ben in the snow? We talked a little bit about that before, Ortiz. Not the biggest Big Ben fans other than Ryan, because he's a Steelers/Bears fan, which means he's really not a fan of anybody.
Go Steelers, but also bear down.
Oh, gosh. Philip says Malcolm Mitchell or DeAndre Hopkins.
DeAndre Hopkins. I'm surprised we haven't talked about DeAndre Hopkins. Hey, and I think we talked about him last week, and y'all were saying you couldn't start him. What do you have, a 44-yard touchdown last week? I mean, hey, it happened. And this week,
that's all he had. That's all.
Hey, that's double digits. It doesn't matter the format. That's double digits. That's double digit fantasy points there, sir.
What was the timestamp on that? That came in the fourth quarter, didn't it?
Yeah, it don't matter when it happened. It could be last play of the game. That's double digit fantasy points.
Gosh. You're holding on hope right here with DeAndre Hopkins.
And well, this week they get Indy, whose secondary is awful. Their defense is awful. I like Hopkins again.
Yeah, but who's outside of Vontae or Indy's defense?
Vontae Davis is going to be on Hopkins. And listen, everybody wants to make note about the first matchup against Indy. Will Fuller didn't play that game, so now that Will Fuller's back, Osweiler's not going to throw to Hopkins. It's gonna be all Fuller, all Fedorowicz.
I like Mitchell. I don't know. Hopkins is that's a tough sell in a playoff format right now.
Can't trust them.
Nah.
The problem is, even if you want to trust Hopkins, you can't trust Osweiler.
Right. Machine comes back. Allen Robinson or Stephon Diggs?
Stephon Diggs.
If it's PPR, Diggs.
If
he has a little high upside in standard touchdown equity, but PPR Diggs for sure.
Okay, so we got a couple more on Twitter here. Zachary says he needs help. When and I'm in the dance. Watkins, Sims, or Rodgers? So 2 Bucks running backs or Sammy Watkins?
Oh, Sammy Watkins.
Sammy.
I got a couple. Terrell Pryor, Sammy Watkins, and Tyler Boyd. I need 2. So who are you sitting? Obviously, probably Tyler Boyd, right?
Boyd. Yeah. Just one more, Kev. Boyd. I just got one more on Twitter. Brady or Stafford?
Stafford.
Over Brady. Look at you. Baltimore's defense has been playing well. I'm still sticking with Brady.
Yeah, Brady is not good against Baltimore traditionally.
Yeah. So
you got more there, Kev?
Oh yeah. Which 2? This is a good one. PPR, Gurley, Ajayi, or Gabriel. You gotta start 2.
Gurley and Gabriel.
Who does Gurley play?
Atlanta.
At home against Atlanta.
Gosh. Ajayi's been playing a lot better. I'd go with Jai and Gabriel, honestly.
I think you go, especially in a PPR. I think I would go Todd Gurley. Benny Cunningham is out as far as I know this week, which I think that's going to lead to more opportunities out of the backfield for Todd Gurley. So that's why I would go with him. And then if Julio Jones is out, so I guess I would go Gabriel. I really like Gabriel. I think Taylor Gabriel could be a solid wide receiver too. So I would go Gurley and Gabriel.
For sure. Those of you who are dropping off before Kev gets on to his next question, thank you so much for joining us today. And good luck in your playoffs. If you don't plan on sticking around for the last 13 minutes of the show or whatever, I see that the watching now numbers just dropping. So I wanted to take a moment to just thank everybody for joining us here and sticking with us all season long. We will be here till week 17, so don't worry. It's not a last goodbye or anything. I just wanted to thank you all for coming and asking us some questions before we get back to answering some more. Machine does have another one. We could take that first or go with another of yours there, Kev. It's up to you.
No, yeah, go with him.
All right, Bennett, Barnage, or Green at tight end?
Oh, Green.
Green.
Yeah, Green.
Bennett has been awful, man. Look at the numbers. He's in a fantastic situation. He's doing nothing with it. I don't know if he's hurt or what's happening there. And Barnage is just he's hard to rely on. Hard to rely on. What else you got for us, Kev? We have 12 minutes left in the show. 10 minutes left in the show. Sorry, 10 minutes.
PPR pick 3: Pryor, Tyrell Williams, Steve Smith, Taylor Gabriel, Tyler Boyd, or Allen Robinson. You got to get 3. So
I like the first 2 for sure.
Yeah, Pryor, Williams, Gabriel.
I like Gabriel too.
I agree. TN says no. Thank you for helping me make the playoffs. You guys rock. He was talking to me, not you guys. That's fine. Thanks, man.
Darius Green.
Unless he has Devontae Adams on his team.
Yeah, right. I tweeted at Devontae Adams. You saw it. I hope he responds. He won't.
Darius Green or Sterling Shepard?
Green.
Sterling Shepard.
Who do you like, Kev?
Shepard. Brady or Jameis?
Jameis.
I'm not sitting Brady in any situation, so I'd still say Brady.
Start. I guess one deep dynasty league. Martellus Bennett, Bellamy, Jermaine Kearse, or Russell Shepard.
Oh my gentle Jesus! With Humphreys out, I'm thinking Shepard.
Whoa.
Bellamy's interesting too because Marquise Wilson is out.
Oh, is he? Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Why do we know this?
Marquise Wilson and Eddie Royal are both out.
Is it another Cam Meredith week? Can it be another Cam Meredith week?
I'd lean Bellamy, dude, honestly.
Yeah, he doesn't like I don't know. They don't seem to like Meredith there.
Barkley does not like Meredith.
That was a Brian Hoyer guy in the through and through right there.
He dropped too many key passes.
I still like Shepard though. It's funny that we're talking about all these no names and Martellus Bennett was on the list, so we still don't want to play him. Still like, don't play him.
No, you can't play him.
The guy's trash. I don't know what happened to him. Is he hurt? He's got to be hurt, right?
Yeah, he's been hurt all year. Stays on the injury report.
Oh, that's the Patriots injury report. It's hard to rely on that. Zach Ertz, Delaney Walker. Which one? Standard league. I should have said or. Zach Ertz or Delaney Walker.
See, I like both those guys this week. But
I think I put Walker as a dud this week. I was reaching.
Did you?
I was reaching. So I would go Ertz.
Sticking to his take lock there.
I got to stick to my article.
No way. You got to go Delaney Walker.
I go Walker. Yeah, I go Walker.
All right, TN, you can come back to me and be like, I should have listened to you when Zach Ertz scored more points. All right, 7 minutes, Kev. Gabriel DT
Allen
or Britt? Sorry, I cut in. We had another one coming on YouTube. Gabriel DT or Britt?
Demaryius Thomas.
DT.
Ryan? DT. Demaryius Thomas. All right, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Kev.
Robbie Anderson or Allen Robinson?
Oh my gosh. The fact that I have to think about this is so sad. Gosh. Anderson. I hate it. I hate myself.
Wait, who was the other option?
Allen Robinson.
Let me.
Okay, Allen Robinson. You have to start him.
You don't have to do anything. This is a playoffs, man. Playoffs. We need that sound bite.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you drafted him for, though.
Yeah, but he's been shit. You drafted him to get you to the playoffs, and
I mean, we're not talking about Allen Robinson over like Fitzgerald here.
Allen Robinson is 31, 24, and 18 receiving yards in the last 3 games. He doesn't even have 100 yards combined.
Touchdown in there. Touchdown in there, though.
Whoop-de-woo. That still put him at less than 10 points for the week.
Well, the tough part is, so Robbie Anderson last week, had 4 catches, 61 yards, and a touchdown. He has very good rapport with Bryce Petty, and they're playing San Francisco. So, I mean, that's the problem, is if he gets the sort of targets that he got. I think the last time that Bryce Petty started, he received 12 targets. So that's the hard part with it. Like, I agree. I really want to go on Robinson, but then at the same time, you're kind of looking at it and you're like, man, like Robbie Anderson could be the better play because Allen Robinson has a terrible, awful matchup this week. And, I mean, Robbie Anderson has a much better matchup. However, trusting Robbie Anderson is also just as difficult.
Well, you're the tiebreaker here, so who are you going with? Sorry. I thought I hit mute. Apparently not. Goddamn Mike.
Go A-Rob.
Take it too long, Kevin. I'm going to another question. Jordan Howard, Jonathan Stewart, or Darren Sproles. Dion Lewis is also available.
I mean, well, Jordan Howard's the only guy that they've got, so you play him.
I don't know how many you need to
30,
start.
30 touches.
It doesn't say. I think we're only starting one of these guys. I agree on Jordan Howard, even though it's against the Lions at home. That's tough. Jonathan Stewart has a good matchup this week, too.
Yeah, Stewart does have a great matchup this week. I just can't bring myself to play him ever.
He's so boomer bust, this guy, man. He is. Gosh, he's tough. Yeah. I'd probably stick with Howard.
Yeah, I think you got to go Howard.
Ryan?
Yeah, Howard. That's what I said. I said Howard first.
You said I think. I think is not a definitive answer.
No, yeah.
Well, if we have no more questions, here's a good one.
I have one more.
What? All right.
Sorry. We'll do it quick. Rashad Jennings or Tim Hightower? Standard league.
Rashad Jennings.
Jennings.
All right, go for it.
Who's a deep sleeper today that's gonna shock the fantasy world?
Robbie Anderson. Or Russell Shepard, like we were talking about before. I think Shepard has a good matchup.
How deep do we want to go?
It doesn't have to be that deep. Just a guy that's not on people's radar.
Well, I think TJ Yeldon is in a great spot because he's the only running back active. Nobody's talking about him. You know, like I mean, there's nobody else. So I mean, opportunity comes a knocking.
I hate myself, but I like Jerick McKinnon.
You know, I'm in a dynasty league playoffs, and the 2 running backs that I'm starting because they're so bad are Yeldon and McKinnon.
The playoffs. Oh my God.
But McKinnon's been pretty solid though lately. I mean, McKinnon's actually been startable these last few weeks.
He has been.
Yeah. South Rules says, thanks, fellas. Good luck to everybody today. Thank you, South Rules. Best of luck to you. Machine also says, thanks, guys. Good luck in the playoffs, and go G-Men. Thank you, Machine, so much for joining us once again this week. It's been a lot of fun. Deep sleeper. Jerick McKinnon, Russell Shepard, Robbie Anderson, TJ Yeldon. Gosh. Bellamy, right? Yeah, there was a Bellamy calling in there a couple minutes back. Man.
What about the Bears tight end, Daniel Brown?
Now you're just reaching. Now you're just getting cute.
Yeah,
he's their starting tight end, and the Lions are
they're bad
stopping tight end.
They're really bad against tight end. But I think they haven't given up a touchdown in the past
couple weeks. They've been at 9 for a while. Yeah. They've been at 9 touchdowns allowed for a few weeks now. Let's take a quick look. I know the games are probably starting any second here, but I want to get this question answered. Yeah, there's 3 teams with 9. The Browns, and the Panthers all have allowed 9 touchdowns to tight ends. The Lions have not given up a tight end touchdown since week 9. And they had a bye in there, so 3 weeks. They had a bye, so 3 weeks without allowing a touchdown to a tight end. They did give up 9 catches for 64 yards versus Rudolph and 5 for 86 versus Fleener, but no touchdown. So there's that. All right, guys, had a lot of fun today, as usual. Be sure to check us out Tuesday nights for the Fantasy Authority podcast. We do tape it live here on YouTube. It releases to the public and to iTunes and Stitcher and all that on Thursday morning, bright and early, 6 a.m. Eastern time, just so you have it on your phone when you wake up and on your commute to work. We like to have that ready for you. Been a lot of fun, guys. Best of luck to you in your fantasy playoffs today. Best of luck to your teams, especially if they're in the playoff hunt. And we will see you again next Sunday, December 18th, once again for our Week 15 edition of the Game Day Show. Good luck again, and have a good one.